Okay, so I had a request from one of my viewers, Ford and Jackie's house, to have my husband be interviewed on the topic of how to keep his wife cool and relaxed. So my husband is going to take over and answer the question since it's going to be in his perspective.
What's up? I guess I'm just gonna get right to it. So I guess first it depends on where we are. When we're at home, how do I keep my wife cool and relaxed? She can do a good job of taking care of that herself. It basically comes down to keeping herself busy, keeping herself doing something, staying active, and not sitting there and dwelling on her thoughts. So basically, to answer that question, at home, if I notice her drifting off in her thoughts and see her staring off into space, I try to be really aware of those type of things, and I kind of just knock her out of it and just tap her on the shoulder and be like, hey, what are you doing? Or give her a hug, or just get her focused on something else. So at home it can be fairly simple. When we're going out in public, that's when it can be more difficult because, I mean, even though Jackie's been a lot better lately, I would give you an example of a more difficult situation where, say, you're in a Walmart and she gets anxiety and it starts to make her aggravated, like as if a customer almost bumped into her or something, and then after that she's just on edge and getting angrier by the minute. And she might even tell you, like, hey, I need to get out of here soon. So, I mean, the best thing to do usually is to stop what you're doing and get her out. Like, she knows what's best for her, so if she says that she needs to get out of here, you need to take your partner or whoever seriously and just get out, even if it means you have to stop what you're doing. So just listen and don't try to be like, oh, well, we just need to get this done or that done, because I used to be like that. I'd be like, come on, we got stuff to do, to get it together. Just get out and do it later. You know, that's what it comes down to. The health is more important. So also, like, little trigger things, like don't tell them to calm down. Like, it's kind of pointless when someone's in a state like that telling them to calm down, because if they could calm down, they would. They don't want to be like that. So telling them to calm down is like telling them nothing. It could even just make them angrier. So don't tell them to calm down. Try not to really talk too much. Try not to be embarrassed, because, like, if you're in public and you get embarrassed of your significant other, like I used to, you know, it's like, oh my god, you're causing a scene, or oh, there's children around, or, you know, like, would you give crap to a person with Tourette's if they said something in front of children? It's like the same thing with people with bipolar, you know, like, it doesn't really matter who's around, so just don't get embarrassed and just kind of, as hard as it is, just block everybody else out. Because it's between you and her, and they need to feel like you're there for them and not on anybody else's team, right? So one thing that would get them agitated and not cool and relaxed would be being concerned about other people around you, making them feel like you don't care about them or you're not on their team. So that helps them stay relaxed too, when you're focused on them and you tune everything else out. And I guess that's pretty much what I can think of off the top of my head. If you want to maybe ask me a question, Jackie.
When I'm, like, having really bad anxiety in the car to the point where I'm, like, asking you to pull the car over, how do you keep yourself calm in those kinds of situations when I'm, like, over the edge?
Well, we've had some intense moments in the car, because the car is like, it's like Jackie in the car is like oil and water. They don't mix very well. So basically your car has hazard lights for a reason, so just find a safe place to pull over and put on your hazards, and do it immediately, because if you prolong it, things can get worse, and you just really don't want her state to get even more agitated while you're driving, because it's a distraction. So just pull over immediately. And again, the biggest thing is not to care what people think. Like, block all the people that are going to be passing by staring at you, like just block them out, because we had one instance where Jackie she was actually assaulting me outside of the car, not like punching me or anything, but she was like pulling on me, like she was in a state of despair. She wanted help, and she was taking it out physically on me in a sort of wrestling motion. And then she stumbled down to the ground because she had just exhausted herself. And I'm just sitting there trying to be compassionate, helping her, and two guys in a pickup truck pass by, and they look at me, and right away, you know, even though I'm trying to be compassionate, they think like I just beat her to the ground, right? So you just ignore that. So these guys actually walked up, and they'll walk up and they'll ask her, "Ma'am, are you all right?" And Jackie was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I explained to them that she has a mental illness, and I'm just trying to help her get through it so we can go home. So, you know, the only instances I've had like that where I had to interact with other people and talk to them, like it's turned out well, as long as you're like, keep your cool. And that helps them keep their cool too, because she didn't like freak out when they came and asked. So just, you know, stay calm yourself in those situations, block people out, take them seriously, pull over immediately, and console them. And always try to be an ear to listen first and to talk second. You know, sometimes I'm a talkative person, I get ahead of myself and I'm like, blah blah blah, you should do this, da 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 da, and I like overwhelm her with my own thoughts, and that'll just agitate her. So don't do that. That'll help keep them calm. Let them talk, unless they ask you to talk, or unless there's a pause in the silence. Just be there for them. Maybe, you know, rub them or put your hand on them, but don't go like in an irritating constant motion, because that could just like agitate them and make them feel itchy in their own skin. And yeah, that's about all I can think about in that car situations, I guess, for now. Anything else?
Yeah, talk about how positive reinforcement irritates me.
Oh man. Yeah, so what she's talking about is basically just coming back to the point of letting them talk. There was a day actually just recently where I forget what happened. I think my wife was stressed out about her job and some other things, and just like the weight on her shoulder in general. And I just like I just bombarded her with positive reinforcement. It's gonna be okay. You're strong. You're good at everything you do. It's gonna work out. This, that, you know, all these things about the situation, calculating them all and telling her it is gonna work. Like, I believe it's gonna work out. So I just tell her, you know, like the science of it all, and she just gets bombarded by all this positive reinforcement about herself and the situation, and it just like irritated her, you know. So I guess that just comes down to just letting them talk and talking back, but, you know, reserving yourself a little bit to let them open up, because they have all these feelings inside. And another thing is, when they start talking, they can start racing and go off topic and change. And in a normal conversation, sometimes you'd feel offended, like, hey, I wanted my turn to talk, or maybe you're used to being in a social setting where you kind of have to fight to fit in and talk to people and have your voice heard. And it can be difficult at first, but learn to just let that go and let them just like ramble on, because then they're getting everything off their chest. It doesn't matter if they're changing subjects, it's making them feel better, it's keeping them busy, it's doing a lot of positive things when they talk. So just let them talk. Yeah, that's about it. Is that all?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head.
So I guess, like you would say, stay strong, and remember, you're not alone. Like and subscribe.